Yo, welcome to an episode of WFAN Daily with Pete Hoffman. Listen, there's no intro because I needed to make a new one. There's a lot going on, as you guys definitely know. If you listen to the station, you definitely know the change that will take place on January 5th, which is Boomer and Gio staying put. But then you got Evan and Tiki from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You got Craig Carton show from 2 to 7 with CMAC, and then obviously the after hours with Lou Gower. I am doing a little something here because I haven't done WFAN Daily in a bit because there's been a lot going on, so I just didn't feel comfortable doing it. So, but now's a good time. I feel like I wanted to get some things off my chest because the one thing that I didn't get to do was really talk about BT and Sal. You know, I had a good 2+ year run with those boys, and it was a very fun show that I'm gonna miss because the last year specifically, it felt like I was just hanging out with my boys, going to a bar, hanging out at a bar, just busting chops. And BT and Sal are gonna be fine. Like, that's one thing that I do know. They are both hard workers. They are both two guys that put their hearts and souls into everything. So end of the day, they're going to be fun. They're going to be great. But the show itself was awesome, and I've gotten a lot of compliments over the past couple of weeks about like how everyone's going to miss BT and Sal, and I'm going to miss them too on a daily basis. But I'm always going to carry that friendship. We're not going to stop hanging. We're not going to stop chilling. We're not going to stop busting chops because that's what we do. You know, it's just going to be a continuation. It's going to be different location. But I just wanted to say, like, the past year and a half, 2 years, or whatever it was a good run. But the last year, really, in particular, I think they found their stride, and it never felt like it was work. It did feel like you were just hanging out and having a good time and, chopping it up and talking sports. And that's kind of what it's about, you know? Um, that's what it's kind of supposed to be. It's about entertaining. It's supposed to be about connecting. And I feel like they did an amazing job of that. So I really want to give kudos to both Brendan Tierney and Salicata. Obviously, I have here they got they're doing a live show on January 22nd. You can go to Brendan Tierney at Brendan Tierney on X for more details there. But I just feel like it was something that I hadn't had a chance to talk about it because listen, they've had their moments. It was their show. Obviously, I'm behind the scenes, but I wanted to give them their time to speak. Obviously, BT is still on till Friday, so he's going to have his special send off on Friday as well. But I wanted to give my little say too because I was the fly on the wall. You know what I mean? I've been witness through a lot of shows, a lot of hosts, a lot of experiences, but these past 2 years have by far been the most fun that I've had. Obviously there's career news coming for me as well, so I'll announce that a little bit later. But now it's just about BT and Sal. I want to give them their props because they deserve it. You know, it was a it was a hard hitting show. There was a lot of explosive moments in a world where we take explosive dialogue and we try to run with just quick hits. I mean, all the social media chatter, you take something out there and it's just basically like, hey, somebody said this and it explodes. And BT and Sal did that amazingly. I mean, how many things did they put out there that went viral? How many things did Sal say that reached Toronto, that reached Atlanta, that reached wherever, you name it? I mean, the amount of things that got out across country was phenomenal. So you got to you got to tip your cap to both BT and Sal for just having um, a really good work ethic, really amazing passion, and again, creativity and fun. And that's one thing I think that they were able to do extremely well. And I'm going to miss those two on air, and I'm going to miss working with them. But again, it's not the end of the relationship. It's not the end of the friendship. And I guarantee you, both of those two cats are going to kill it whatever they do next. It's going to be amazing. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do because they are relentless. They have an amazing work ethic, like I said. And again, it's going to be a friendship that I will never, I'm gonna miss hanging with them on the regular, but I guarantee you, I'm going to games with them. I guarantee I'm going to go see them, whether it's at a hockey game or a basketball game or maybe a WWE event, whatever it is. It's going to be awesome. So I am, I am forever in debt for having that opportunity because you don't always have an opportunity like that. Like I don't know what it's like being on the outside listening to that or be a part of that. I know how it is to listen to other shows and being a fan of other things that I really appreciate. But to be so close to it, it's a rarity. So I feel honored to have that opportunity. But it will be different, obviously. Not having them around. But again, they're still alive and they're still kicking. And again, they're going to start doing cool things here and there. Regardless of whether it's together, whether it's separate, but they're going to have platforms. And that's one thing that is amazing in this world today is that there's always a way now to be found. Whether you want it or not, there's always a way to be found. So I guarantee you both BT and Sal will have a platform for you to hear them, follow them, all that stuff. So if you are someone like myself who enjoyed working with them or enjoy listening to them, you'll find that, and I guarantee it. And listen, like I said, the world works in many different ways. You never know what's going to happen. But listen, they're going to be fine. We're all going to be fine. It's interesting times, but it's still going to all work out for everybody. That being said, I did really want to talk about some sports too, because that's what we do here. I took some time off because I was sick for a little bit, and I really had to recover. Like I was just like totally done. Been working a lot, and then all this stuff that's going on behind the scenes. So I just didn't feel it was right to start doing this stuff again. But I want to get back to it. So one thing that I do feel passionately about, and people might get pissed off about it, but I gotta be honest. The Yankees. I know we're gonna go from BT and Sal to the Yankees, but that's what I'm gonna do. That's what we do here. This is the normality, Does anybody feel like the Yankees dropped the ball by not going after Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz? Does anybody else feel that way? Because I certainly do. I look at the Yankees as an organization that should be gunning for every top star possible. Cody Bellinger, I know that they'd like to retain him, but it might be too expensive, might be too many years. But to me, it feels like it's a no-brainer that they should have been invested in Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz. And somehow they didn't sniff at it. You have a first baseman in Ben Rice, who, personally speaking, Ben Rice is a good hitter. Is he freaking Ichiro Suzuki? Is he somebody that you need to see in the lineup on a daily basis? He ain't that good yet. He's still young, but he's not that good yet where it's like, oh, this guy takes precedent over, somebody who can drive in 30 or 35 home runs in a season in his sleep and the 100+ RBIs. Like, that's what Pete Alonso is and does. And for somebody who, on offense with the Yankees, where they were, Brian Cashman literally said, we are too lefty. We are too left-handed. We need more right-handed bats. Like, that's a perfect spot for Pete Alonso, no? And instead, you let the Baltimore Orioles grab him. So now you have to deal with that. And Toronto's getting better, and teams around you are getting better. You would think that you'd want to at least go and look into and inquire about this first baseman who is, put him up with Aaron Judge. That's like the new Bash Brothers. It didn't make any sense that Brian Cashman was so quiet during the winter meetings, and you had two guys who were hot tickets, and you could include Kyle Schwarber in there too. But Kyle Schwarber makes less, is less of a thought for the Yankees because they have so many guys that already hit DH. You can't add another one that's like full-time DH. Pete Alonso's not a full-time DH. He's a first baseman. And with that defense that you have, Pete Alonso would actually be effective on defense. Like that, I don't understand what happens there. I don't understand why that was something that didn't that the Yankees didn't inquire about. So I feel like they dropped the ball at the winter meetings. I know that the Mets lost Edwin Diaz. I know that the Mets lost Pete Alonso, but the Yankees didn't even try. And, Edwin Diaz going to L.A., I don't think it was all based upon, I just got to go to L.A. I think it was more like, I want someone that wants me. And the way that David Stearns handles stuff, he doesn't act like he wants anybody. He only actually wants a few guys. Devin Williams, hey, Tyrone Taylor, I like you because I know you're from Milwaukee. When it comes down to the Yankees, if they showed any level of interest, I'm sure Edwin Diaz would have stayed. He's already shown he's successful in New York. I don't understand why it wouldn't have happened. It didn't happen, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating because the Yankees had an opportunity to get better after last year's disappointment, after last year's, the fact that they lost to the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays went on to the World Series. You feel like you should be trying to get better and be a juggernaut. The team to beat right now is the Dodgers, and they keep on getting better and better and better. And the Yankees just sit there and go, we're content with what we have. We got some young guys. We got some veterans. We have some guys that are on one-year deals. We have some good defensive guys. Listen, the one thing you can't deny is the pitching staff. The pitching staff for the New York Yankees is unbelievable. That is one thing that is on no doubt about it. But there's still so many areas where it's like the Yankees can improve. The bullpen can improve. And it just seems like the Yankees just completely flubbed the winter meetings and failed it. Now, as far as the Mets go, I am highly frustrated by the fact that David Stearns is screwing this team over and screwing the fan base over. I'm not going to sit here and say that the offseason is done and this is what we're going to have to deal with. And wow, what a crappy offseason and we're going to tank for the rest of our lives. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is this, though. When you talk about fan favorites, when you talk about how the New York Mets don't really keep their homegrown guys, when they have homegrown guys that could be special, they tend to just forget that they're homegrown and say, screw it. Just go. Just leave. And I think that's what David Stearns missed here. It's not that Pete Alonso leaving is going to ruin the season going forward. It's not. But if you ask the fans, if you've asked most of the fans, he is an asset. The one thing that was successful, there's a couple things that were successful in 2025 for the New York Mets. One thing was Edwin Diaz. Another thing was Pete Alonso. They were good at their jobs. Pete Alonso, 38 home runs, drove in 25 RBIs. He had the second most in the league. That wasn't the problem. The problem was there was no starting pitching, and there was a lot of empty holes in the lineup. So you eliminate two positions that actually worked well. So I think the Met fan is dying inside going, what are you doing? I'm okay with you making moves and work in the system. But those were the pieces that worked. Don't we want to add on to those pieces? You want to get rid of the core because the core didn't work. Okay, fine. Brandon Nimmo, fine. Get rid of him. Can't wait for Jeff McNeil to go. But Edwin Diaz and Pete Alonso were part of the quote-unquote core that worked. Francisco Lindor worked. Juan Soto worked. Why would you change that? Because you already have so many steps to go. You already have so much to work on with the pitching staff, with the bullpen, with basically the outfield now that you got rid of Brandon Nimmo. You don't know who you're playing at third base, even though there are tons of rumors now that's popping up. And there seems to be a huge possibility of a trade between the Mets and the Padres. That's what it keeps on trickling down. You keep on seeing it. It's been like that for about a week or so now. But there seems to be, it's not the Fernando Tatis for Francisco Lindor. So let's just chill with that. I know so many people want they want Fernando Tatis, but that's not happening. Like, that's just not on the cards. But what is more effective is if you can go get a guy like Mason Miller to replace Edwin Diaz, that's huge. Nick Pivetta is a solid pitcher. I'm not sitting here saying he's an ace, but that is a innings eating type of pitcher. So that's solid. But, I mean, that is a move that definitely tickles my fancy. Unlike the Luis Robert Jr., which I keep on seeing as well. Yeah, I understand that David Stearns has this fascination with Luis Robert Jr. Why? I don't know. Is it because he's young? Is it because he's controllable? Sure. But he's not been effective basically his entire career but 1 year. So what do you see, Mr. Genius, that we don't see? What has Luis Robert Jr. done so far that you think is all of a sudden? Because I keep on hearing Pete Alonso, he's going to die out. And listen, Pete Alonso's gone, so I'm not sitting here. I'm just comparing it because these are the reasons why Pete Alonso did not come back. Because in 4 or 5 years, it's not a comfortable contract. But 3 years is okay. What's the difference? What at the age of 33 is different from the age of 35? I don't think Pete Alonso's fallen off a cliff like everyone makes it out to be. But yet we're looking at guys like Luis Robert Jr., who haven't even climbed the cliff yet, haven't found the top of the mountain. Maybe for one season, and they never got back on top. But we're going to move mountains for him? I don't get it. So there seems to be something there. Keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, right now, it's all just basically, the Jorge Polanco deal, whatever. It's nothing sexy, nothing exciting. It's just another way to minimize a long-term contract. That's what it comes down to. No long-term contracts with David Stearns, unless his name is Juan Soto. That's it. Francisco Lindor, I guarantee you right now, Francisco Lindor, when he was here, if David Stearns was here, would probably not have signed that huge contract. But then they also wouldn't have traded for him too then. So I don't know who is a David Stearns guy. The only one that I guess is the David Stearns guy is Juan Soto. But here's the thing. This is the one thing you got to remember if you're a Met fan right now. And it's not a bad thing. It's just something to take note of. He signed a 15-year deal, right? We've gone through 1 year, which means in 4 years, Juan Soto can opt out. And this is a huge, huge, huge key to this puzzle. If Juan Soto opts out and David Stearns elects not to pick up that block that they have in the contract, which is basically saying, no, you cannot opt out. We are just going to give you $5 million extra for the next 10 years. So every year we're going to add another $5 million to your contract. They could simply do that. Or David Stearns could say, have fun. Go to free agency. Try to get more money. Good luck. If David Stearns says good luck, then we know that he will never sign a long-term contract with anybody. He is all about keeping it cheap. That is the goal of David Stearns. Keep it cheap. Oh, well, we're paying Marcus Semien $75 million. Yes, but he's done in 3 years. Jorge Polanco, done in 2 years. Francisco Lindor, yes, he's got a longer-term deal. Maybe they trade him at some point in time. Who knows? We'll find out. But that's really what it Devin Williams, 3-year deal. Everything is a 3-year deal, 3-year deal, 3-year deal. That's what you're dealing with right now. And it's not because of the work stoppage. It's just because that's what he plays with. Because what David Stearns is trying to do, which is, I'm not saying it's fully wrong, but David Stearns is trying to work from the bottom up, which is, let me get my young kids, young core, young draft picks, prospects. Let me get all that in line so that in a few years we can transition from overpaid players to young talent that can really take over and be the core of this team for a decade plus and just continue to win and all that stuff, which I don't disagree with. That's a great idea. I like the fact that, hey, you may have a core team, a team that is just filled with talent, with young talent that can go to the playoffs every year, which is what we beg for. Go make the playoffs every year, be competitive every year, maybe win a championship every year. Who knows? But in New York, you don't just go and say, we're going to strip it down and have the young talent eventually come in 3 years. That's called a rebuild. We don't rebuild in New York. We just don't. But that's what he is doing. And he's adding a couple pieces here and there to make it seem like they're, staying afloat. But it's a rebuild. And it's sickening. And they have Soto handcuffed potentially right now for 14 more years and Lindor for another 6. So they can do that. They can get away with it. But to me, it's not impressive. I am a win now guy because we went through the rebuilds for many years. And they had an opportunity to continue to get better, and they chose not to. So that's major issues. We talked about the Yankees, talked about BT Sal earlier on. If you missed it, go back top of the program, top of this podcast. I discussed my thoughts and feelings about BT and Sal. I love them both. I wish them the best, and they're going to be phenomenal. Quickly before I do leave, I just wanted to make one other point out there from yesterday's Giant game, from Sunday's Giant game. The one thing that has made me question a little bit about the Giants all season long, I don't understand what they're doing with Jalen Hyatt. He's been on this team basically all season long. They probably could have cut him, and they chose not to. So he's been on the roster. There is a reason why he's here. And I can't figure it out, and I don't think anybody else can. But I will say this much. There was an interception, and Jalen Hyatt, fell and was on the ground and lied on the ground for a little bit longer than expected. But when he got up, he ran all the way down, fouled the guy, the secondary guy who intercepted the ball and made the tackle. And now I don't know how many yards it was, but I think he was on like the 25 or 30 of the Commanders, and then made the tackle around the 20 or 30 on the Giant side. So maybe like around 50, 60 yards he ran in a very short time. Guy's fast. He's got a ton of speed. Is there a possibility? And I know this is throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. I did this with Kadarius Toney one time, saying, hey, Kadarius Toney should be a quarterback because he seemed more impressive than Mike Glennon. So I've said a lot of stupid things in my life. This won't be the last one. Jalen Hyatt, secondary, is that a possibility? He's got the speed. He made a nice tackle. Now, listen, it was from behind, but he made a nice tackle. I mean, he caught up with the secondary. He caught up with the guy that made the interception and made the tackle. That other guy, that guy was zigzagging through the Giants' offense like butter. Like no one was touching him. And Jalen Hyatt went from one side to the other and made the tackle. Can he play in the secondary? Is that a spot for Jalen Hyatt? if he can bulk up a little bit too, because it's the one thing is he's not a big guy. He's a tall guy. He's fast, but he's not bulky. He doesn't have like a lot of meat to him. But if he did add a little, could he be an amazing secondary piece? That is a thought that you should ponder as we take a night for this podcast episode of WFAN Daily. And I'll be back tomorrow. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do it every day. Listen, it's the holiday season. Let's get to it. I want to start fresh. Obviously, like I said, too, you know the order of the new shows that are coming out. I will, in maybe tomorrow, I'll just post something of where I'm actually at, which I've said before on the Rico Bronya podcast. And by now, you probably do know. I'll just say it. I will be producing the Carton Show starting January 5th. But today was more about BT and Sal because I love those dudes. They are two tremendous human beings. Their families are amazing. And no matter – and the one thing I will say, and Carl Banks was awesome too because, everybody knows about the Carl Banks, Sal Licata stuff and BT stuff where Sal Licata, BT, Carl Banks, they had that whatever on air. It happens. I love that Carl Banks went, and I talked to Carl about this too, and I said thank you very much, and I appreciated him for me as somebody that knows all of them to kind of like defend them, like because people were sitting there ripping BT and Sal on social media, which is what people do. So it's not a surprise to me or anybody else that they do that. But Carl Banks was like, dude, done and over with. That's fine. They're both great dudes. We cleared it up. We've all texted each other. Everything's fine. And I love that. And you got to remember, like, situations happen. Sometimes, like, if you could ask anybody, sometimes early in those meetings, when we first started the BT and Sal Show, some of those meetings got a little feisty, It's just, people that are passionate about their job, trying to get the best out of each other. And sometimes things got feisty. But you came back the next day and did it again and had a blast. And that's what it's about. It's like, sometimes things get a little hostile. It's okay. This is what we do. It's fun. We talk sports. We live sports. We do sports. We do entertainment. That's what we do. So, listen, I just was happy to see that just shows that, like, anything is possible. People can come together. Let bygones be bygones. It's all good. So, listen, thank you for everyone who checked out WFAN Daily today. I am Pete Hoffman. You can follow me at Hoff WFAN. I'll be doing a ton more of these now, more consistently. I apologize I was doing them much more before. Like I said, I got sick, and I apologize. And then just obviously what was going on behind scenes, I kind of got distracted. But I am back, and the new year is not too far away. And new lineup is not too far away. But again, I just want to send my love to BT and Sal. Guys, appreciate you. At Hoff WFAN, follow me. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.